welcome to Sleep Begins. The day is over, the night is here, and it's time to give yourself permission to rest. Settle beneath your blankets, get comfortable, and allow the noise of the day to slowly fade away. Whether you're settling into bed or simply looking for a moment of peace, you've found the perfect place to unwind. Now, let's begin. At the edge of a quiet forest, the last light of day faded into a soft, dusty blue. The air was cool and still, carrying the gentle scent of pine and damp earth. Somewhere in the distance, an owl called once before the woods settled into peaceful silence. Ahead, tall trees leaned together, their branches weaving a delicate canopy that allowed only thin ribbons of moonlight to reach the mossy path below. Fallen leaves whispered softly beneath each step, while vines wrapped around ancient trunks dotted with tiny white flowers that glowed like little stars hidden among the branches. Then, through a break in the trees, it appeared. A castle. Its pale towers rose above the mist, wrapped in thick ivy that curled around windows and weathered stone walls. The highest spire disappeared into drifting clouds, as though the castle itself had been sleeping beneath the evening sky for 100 quiet years. Beyond the gates, everything was perfectly still. A fountain held a single sparkling drop of water, frozen in midair. Nearby, a small cat slept peacefully on a stone bench, its tail curled neatly around its paws. Even the breeze seemed to move with great care, as though it wished not to disturb the silence. Inside, silver moonlight spilled through tall windows, filling the quiet halls with a gentle glow. Dust floated lazily through the air. A guard rested against a doorway with peaceful breaths, while a maid slept beside a window, a folded cloth still resting loosely in her hands. The whole castle was dreaming. At the end of the hall, a narrow staircase spiraled upward into shadow, waiting patiently for anyone willing to climb it. And slowly, those worn stone steps carried the story back 100 years, to the night when everything had begun. Long before the castle fell asleep, it had been filled with warmth and celebration. Candlelight flickered through every hallway, music drifted across the courtyard, and joyful laughter echoed beneath the evening sky. The king and queen had finally welcomed a daughter into the world. To celebrate her birth, they invited every good fairy in the kingdom to bless the little princess with a gift. One by one, they stepped forward, their shimmering gowns glowing softly like moonlight upon calm water. One fairy blessed the child with grace. Another gave her a voice as gentle and beautiful as birdsong. A third blessed her with a heart filled with kindness and compassion. But just as the final blessing was about to be given, the great doors slowly creaked open. The music faded. The candles flickered. An uninvited fairy entered the hall, her dark cloak trailing silently behind her. She approached the cradle and looked down at the sleeping baby. Before anyone could speak, she quietly declared that before the princess reached her 16th birthday, she would prick her finger upon the spindle of a spinning wheel and fall into a sleep from which she would never wake. The hall fell silent. Then the youngest fairy stepped forward. Though she could not break the curse, she gently changed its ending. The princess would sleep for 100 years instead, safely held in peaceful dreams, until true love awakened her with a kiss. Determined to protect his daughter, the king ordered every spinning wheel in the kingdom hidden away. And so the years drifted by, calm and gentle while the young princess grew, never knowing that an old enchantment patiently waited for her 16th birthday. The years passed quietly, one gentle season after another, until at last the princess's 16th birthday arrived. Morning sunlight poured through the castle windows, warming the old stone walls with a soft golden glow. Dew rested upon the roses in the gardens, sparkling like tiny stars that had forgotten to disappear with the night. Birds welcomed the day with cheerful songs, while a cool breeze carried the sweet scent of flowers through the palace grounds. The princess wandered happily through the gardens, pausing to admire each blossom and smiling kindly at everyone she met. The king and queen watched their daughter with peaceful hearts. For 16 long years they had kept every spinning wheel hidden, believing the old curse had become nothing more than a distant memory. But some old magic is patient. After her morning walk, the princess wandered through a quiet hallway she had never noticed before. At its end stood a small wooden door, worn smooth by time and covered with a thin layer of dust. Curious, she rested her hand upon the old iron handle and gently pushed it open. Beyond the door, a narrow spiral staircase wound slowly upward. With each step, the sounds of the castle grew quieter until only the soft echo of her footsteps remained. At the top of the tower, warm afternoon sunlight filled a small round room where an elderly woman sat beside an old spinning wheel, patiently turning its wooden wheel. The princess had never seen such a curious machine. "What is it?" she asked with a gentle smile. "A spinning wheel," the old woman replied kindly. "Would you like to try?" The princess stepped closer. She reached out with quiet curiosity and lightly touched the polished spindle. A tiny prick, no more than the sting of a rose thorn. She looked down at the small drop of crimson upon her finger, and almost at once, a deep, peaceful drowsiness settled over her. Her eyelids grew wonderfully heavy, and before she could take another step, she slowly sank into a nearby chair, falling into the gentlest sleep. The magic drifted silently through the castle. The king paused in the middle of a conversation and quietly closed his eyes. The queen rested beside a table of fresh flowers, smiling softly as sleep found her too. The cooks, the musicians, the servants, and the guards all slipped peacefully into the same enchanted dream. Outside, the horses lowered their heads. Birds tucked their wings beneath the evening sky. The palace cat curled into a tighter little ball beside the silent fountain, where a single drop of water remained forever suspended in the air. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Months quietly became years. Soft ivy climbed the castle walls, wrapping itself around towers and windows with gentle patience. White roses bloomed each spring, moss softened the ancient stones, and the forest slowly gathered around the sleeping kingdom, protecting it beneath a peaceful blanket of green. The seasons came and went without hurry, until nearly 100 quiet years had passed, and the forgotten castle rested deep within the forest, waiting for the day its oldest dream would finally awaken. Far beyond the forest, the sleeping castle slowly became a legend. Travelers spoke of it beside glowing fireplaces on quiet evenings, while children listened with wide eyes before drifting peacefully to sleep. Some believed the tale was only an old fairy story. Others quietly wondered if, somewhere beyond the oldest trees, the enchanted kingdom still rested beneath its blanket of ivy and roses. One calm autumn afternoon, a young prince heard the story from an elderly traveler. The old man spoke softly of a forgotten castle where time itself had fallen asleep, and of a princess waiting patiently for the day the spell would finally come to an end. The prince listened without a word. He felt no desire for treasure or glory. Instead, he found himself thinking about the quiet castle hidden deep within the woods. There was something comforting about the story, something that gently called him toward the forest. The following morning, he began his journey. The path carried him beneath ancient oaks whose golden leaves drifted lazily through the cool autumn air. Sunlight filtered softly between the branches, painting warm patterns across the forest floor. The farther he traveled, the quieter the woods became. Even the birds seemed to lower their songs until only the gentle rustling of leaves remained. Then, through the morning mist, he saw it. The castle stood exactly as the old traveler had described, its pale towers rising above the trees, wrapped in thick ivy and blooming white roses. Time had touched its walls with gentle hands, yet it still carried the quiet beauty of another age. As the prince approached the great gates, the vines slowly parted before him, as though they had patiently waited for this very moment. Inside, silence welcomed him. The fountain still held its single sparkling drop of water. The little cat remained curled upon the stone bench, sleeping peacefully beneath the afternoon sun. Dust drifted through silver beams of light, and every hallway seemed wrapped in the same gentle dream. Step by step, he wandered deeper into the castle until he reached the familiar spiral staircase. Slowly, he climbed. At the top of the tower, the little wooden door stood quietly open. Inside, sunlight filled the small round room with a warm, golden glow. There, beside the old spinning wheel, the princess rested peacefully. Her hands were folded gently in her lap, her breathing slow and calm, as though she had only just closed her eyes a few moments before. For a long, quiet moment, the prince simply stood beside her, moved by the peaceful stillness that filled the room. Then, with the greatest kindness, he leaned forward and placed a gentle kiss upon her forehead. The princess stirred softly. Her eyes slowly opened, and a warm smile appeared upon her face as the first rays of sunlight danced across the room. At that very moment, the old enchantment quietly began to fade. As the princess opened her eyes, the quiet spell that had rested over the kingdom for 100 years gently slipped away. Far below the tower, the castle slowly awakened. The king opened his eyes with a peaceful smile, and the queen looked up from the bouquet of flowers she had been arranging so long ago. Servants stirred from their quiet dreams. Musicians reached once more for their instruments, and the guards blinked in quiet surprise as though only a few peaceful moments had passed. Outside, the single drop of water finally fell into the fountain below, sending gentle ripples across its glassy surface. Birds returned to the gardens with cheerful songs, while the palace cat stretched lazily in a patch of warm sunlight before wandering across the courtyard as if it had simply enjoyed a very comfortable nap. The ivy that had lovingly wrapped itself around the castle walls remained in place, now blooming with delicate white roses that filled the air with their sweet fragrance. Sunlight warmed the ancient stones once more, and laughter gradually returned to the quiet halls, filling them with life again. The king and queen hurried to embrace their daughter, their hearts overflowing with joy and gratitude. Though 100 years had quietly slipped away, the love they felt for one another had never faded. It had simply waited, patient and enduring, until this peaceful morning arrived. The prince asked for nothing in return. He was simply grateful to have followed the quiet path that had led him through the forest and into the forgotten castle. In time, he and the princess came to know one another, their friendship growing gently into a love built on kindness, trust, and understanding. The kingdom celebrated with grateful hearts, not with great noise or grand displays, but with music, warm meals, and the quiet happiness of being together once more. The old castle, once remembered for its long enchantment, became a place of hope, reminding every traveler that even the longest night will one day welcome the morning. And as evening settled over the forest once again, the castle windows glowed warmly beneath the rising moon. A gentle breeze carried the scent of roses through the ancient trees, while somewhere in the distance an owl called softly into the night. The forest was peaceful, the castle was awake, and the story of Sleeping Beauty drifted gently into legend, carried from one quiet bedtime to the next.